We're back. Are you guys ready for day two? We're jumping into day two of the ASAP Rocky trial, which is happening right now. We are getting started in LA live. Why don't we go ahead and jump on in and see what we have missed so far? It should be heating up. We're hearing that there are going to be lots of people on the stand today, but we're starting at first with a motions hearing. So let's go ahead and see what we're missing so far and catch on up.
I understand that Mr. Efron, also known as, I understand that ASAP Relli is going to be called to the stand today.
Ooh, witness! The witness!
Relli is, I know, a very important witness to both sides.
Governor, just so you know, he's in the court right now. I didn't even cut you off.
Is Relli going to take the stand today?
Where?
He's the victim, guys.
What's your first name? Tara. That's one R and two L's. EPHRON. All right. Mr. Efron is an extremely important witness to both sides. That's patently obvious. The jury is entitled to know him and about him, consistent with case law and statutory law. The parameters of questioning that I am permitting is based on my consideration of a number of factors, including the evidence code, specifically all aspects of evidence code section 352, the probative value weighed against prejudice, the relevance to issues that the jury will have to decide and discuss, and both sides advocating for their client, and above all, fairness to both sides. The rulings on what Mr. Efron can be questioned about on direct examination and cross-examination is final, with no input from either side.
We're going to see Relli, guys.
He's been identified as ASAP Relli. He's also been identified as Terrell Efron. Depending on how you wish to address him, you can call him either Relli or Efron. He is not to be asked any question that asks of him. Oh, and I mentioned, I had told counsel before that they could record what I'm saying now for future, in the future, for later today or any other time. And the people are welcome to also. We have one more thing. Oh,
Guys, this is huge. This is huge. This is Relli, the victim himself. This is crazy. I can't believe we're seeing this on day two.
Thank you, Ron. All right, I'll start again. As I said, he can be called by both parties, either Relli or Mr. Efron, whatever the counsel feels most comfortable with. He is not to be asked any question that asks of him or accuses him of being a thief, a liar, an extortionist, or any other derogatory term. He's not to be accused of any type of name. Final argument is a different story. This only applies to how he's going to be addressed. I don't want, well, isn't it true you're a liar, or you're an extortionist, or you argue a drug dealer, or anything like that. That is not to be asked. He can be asked about felony convictions involving moral turpitude. I have not seen a rap sheet of Mr. Efron. Does Mr. Efron have any felony convictions?
No.
So if he has no felony convictions, obviously he has no felony convictions involving moral turpitude.
I agree.
And you reviewed his rap sheet?
I did.
I had written in my notes here that if he has felony convictions, I wanted to review his review his rap sheet before he testifies under evidence code section 352. But if he has no felony convictions, then there's no reason for you to examine a rap sheet, even assuming he has one. He is not to be asked about any other involvement in any other criminal activity in which there was no felony conviction. All of that is off limits. So if there has been illegal conduct in the past, if it did not result in a felony conviction involving moral turpitude, it's off limits. The relationship between Rocky and Relli is fair game. All personal contact between Relli and Rocky from the date of the shooting to the present is fair game. Any statement by Relli to anyone regarding his seeking money from Rocky, both pre-incident and post-incident, are
Can't believe Relli's about to testify, y'all.
Any personal contact between Relli and Rocky of any kind which predate the shooting by 2 years is fair game. Statements made by Relli to anyone about Rocky for a period from 1 year from 1 year prior to the incident to the present day. If Relli made statements on social media regarding Rocky, that's fair game. Voicemail, fair game. Oral statements made to any person, to anyone, is fair game, as long as, if there's a denial, the recipient must be available. If Relli says he didn't make a statement. Any written statements by Relli to anyone is fair game. The recipient, however, must be available if Relli denies that he made that written statement. Recorded or oral telephone conversations in which Relli is a party is not permitted under under Penal Code Section 632, unless all parties to the conversation consent to the recording. Those are the parameters, and that's in stone.
Your Honor, we have just questions, not questions, we have specific questions of what they can and cannot.
I just set forth the parameters.
This judge ain't playing
If you
games.
think that something contravenes what I just said, lodge an objection. Okay, I'm not going to do any clarifying because, it would take us forever for both sides to go through question after question. I set parameters. Both of you know, if you think that on either side of the question,
Hit the like button, y'all.
these parameters, lodge an objection. All right, different topic. Does the prop gun exist?
Your Honor, do you want the witness to go out of the now?
What witness? Yes, because we're going to be talking about evidence. Yeah, yes, please step out.
Your Honor, while he's here, the court wanted to inquire of him on the issue of whether he's willing to speak to the defense.
All right, yes. Mr. Relli, the defense, I know, you've been interviewed in the past and you've been examined in court.
Here he
a number of
comes.
times. The defense would like to, question you further and get an update on any information. It's your decision whether you want to or not. It's optional. You can say, yes, I'm willing to be interviewed. And if you are, that's fine. If you don't want to be interviewed, then you don't have to. It's your decision. But they want to know whether you're willing to sit for an interview. So what's your response?
I respectfully decline.
Okay, all right. Will you step out and we'll have you come back in when we're ready for you.
Your Honor, can we just make sure, I don't know if either of the defense witnesses are in court right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to,
Well, just before we're gonna.
Is ASAP gonna turn around and look at him? This is the man that could put him in jail.
Make sure that they were not in here while the court was talking about.
Oh, yeah, so Mr. Levin and Mr. Phillips, they are not recording. All right. Does the prop gun exist?
The prop gun existed, yes.
Does it exist now?
I don't know if it exists now. Are you asking, do we have, or are we going to produce it?
Yes.
So y'all don't have the gun?
All right, let's deal with,
Where's the
Mr.
gun?
Is he outside?
Yes.
All right, can you have him come in? And I don't see any reason why, no, we can't. Now, you?
I mean, I think technically, obviously, we're gonna be asking questions that go to this area. Council, I don't have a problem with being here. Council has an objection, I think it would be a
Do
public.
you see any reason why you can't be in here? I'm gonna be talking now about Levin and Phillips, so I'm not talking anymore.
I don't think you should be here.
If you don't think he should be in here, then
I don't think Levin should be here after you're done with me.
he doesn't need to be. I just, are you Mr. Levin?
I am
What's your first name, Mr. Levin?
Lewis, LWIS.
Deputy Bennett, could you give him a piece of paper? On the piece of paper, I want you to write your birthday.
Yes.
I don't want you to say it in open court because this is being recorded and you know, the public doesn't need to know your birthday.
Thank
Once you write down your birthday on the piece of paper, give it to Deputy Bennett. Deputy Bennett, give it to the prosecutors and they can investigate it. Have you done that?
I have.
All right, Mr. Levin, the prosecutors, they want the opportunity to interview you before you take the stand. It's optional. You can agree to do it, or you can refuse to do it. It's just totally up to you. Were you
Sorry about
advised
my
of this?
typo in the
No.
poll, y'all.
All right, these are the prosecutors, and they just want to explore what you have to offer in this case. Are you willing to be interviewed by them?
No.
All right, step up here.
It would just be advised that the failure to.
Oh, yeah, I just want you to know, and Relli will be told the same thing. By refusing, this can be brought out on cross-examination, that you refuse to be interviewed by the prosecution, which could impact your credibility. But that's totally your decision. If you don't want to talk to the prosecutors, you don't have to. If you agree to, you can. But I just want you to know of the consequences.
I understand that.
You still don't want to speak with them?
Correct.
All right.
I'm assuming he can give an answer as to why he doesn't want to. Correct.
Yeah, if he's asked, yes,
Okay.
of course. If he's asked, if he's confronted with, isn't it true that, we wanted to speak to you and you refused, he'll say yes. And then the prosecution asks, or you can ask, why did you refuse? Sure. If it's touched on direct, it can be touched on, if it's touched on a cross-examination, you can touch on it on RiRi. All right, step out, please.
Thank you.
What about Phillips?
You are recording on this Phillips. We still do not have, council has never provided the date of the interview with him. How many you were?
Would you wait? I have things
Oh, okay.
in a certain order. What about Phillips? Where is Phillips?
He's in
He's
New
in
York.
New York?
He's in New York. But we contacted him and alerted him to the fact.
Okay, call him. Can you call him? Sure.
Taking that yard.
Did you get the birthday on Mr. Levin?
Yes.
Okay. What is Philip's first name?
Jamel.
Jamel,
Jamel?
Jamel.
Can you put, are you able to put on speakerphone?
Yes. All right, Your Honor, Mr. Phillips is here on speakerphone.
Right. Mr. Jamel Phillips?
Hello, how you doing?
All right, Captain. All right, Mr. Phillips, I'm the judge in the case. You're aware of the case, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, two things I want to inquire of you. At some point, you're going to be coming to court to testify. You're aware of that?
Yes, sir.
All right. The prosecution would like the opportunity to interview you before you take the stand, just to find out what you have to offer and what you have to say. It's optional with you. You can either you can agree to be interviewed, or you can refuse. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of this?
Should have done
Yes,
this
sir.
yesterday.
Will you agree to be interviewed or not?
No, I do not want to be interviewed.
All right. I want you to know, though, if you refuse, then the jury is going to know that you refuse to be interviewed by the prosecution, and it could impact your believability, your credibility in the eyes of the jury. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have you take an off speakerphone, and the phone is going to be given to the bailiff. Mr. Phillips, I want you to give your birth date to the bailiff. No one is going to be able to hear it except her. She's going to write down your birth date, and she's going to give it to the prosecution, because the prosecution is entitled to at least look into your background, and part of that is required that you give your.
So guys, this is completely procedural, what they're doing right now. We already started the trial. This is day 2. We did opening statements. We had the first officer, who I believe is going to resume his testimony today, but that started on Friday. Today is huge because A AP Relli is about to testify. And what the judge is doing right now is, it looks like there was a request for either the prosecution side or the defense side to talk to specific witnesses, like interview witnesses before they take the stand. This is procedural. They should have done this on day 1, but it looks like they're doing it now. But we will see Relli on the stand. Now, remember, this is an assault trial. A$AP Rocky is being accused of pulling out a prop gun. And we did see the surveillance footage on Friday and pointing it at A$AP Relli. Now, here's the thing. It's assault because a lot of people get assault and battery confused. Battery is the actual physical touching. Assault is putting somebody in fear or apprehension. Relli is here to talk about that fear and apprehension because A$AP Rocky pulled this prop gun out on him, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that. But just wanted to give you guys a quick explainer for those that are like, what's going on? A$AP is right there on the right-hand side of your screen, sitting in the middle next to his attorney with the curly hair. He has a more modest suit on today, and he is sitting in his mobster stance. We see that. So let's see what happens.
Birthday, but it is not going to be broadcasted or publicized in any way.
The court also inquires whether or not he has a residence outside of New York, or has had a residence outside of New York.
Do you live here in California?
No,
Do you have a residence here in California?
no, not under my name. No,
Not what?
no,
Do you have a residence anywhere beside New York?
no.
All right, so when you were out here, were you just visiting?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead and take it off speakerphone. All right, and Deputy Bennett, let him know when he's off speakerphone, and then have him give you the birthday.
Rihanna should be in the courthouse tomorrow, guys.
Do you want him on like 24-hour call or is that? Yeah. Say again? All right, you have a birthday? We do. All right, getting back to Mr. Levin, since he's being called as a witness, how many times has he been interviewed by anybody from your office?
Twice,
Okay, when was the first?
That would have been August, John,
24?
24,
And where did the interview take place?
in our office in Manhattan.
Was the interview recorded in any way?
It was not,
Who was present for the interview?
Ms. Takeda and Ms. Mazzoni, along with myself.
How long did the interview last?
I'm trying to recall, Your Honor. About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. And nobody took notes or prepared a written statement as to what Mr. Levin said?
No, Your Honor, it was a conversation.
I had said that the people are entitled to at least know the sum and substance. Since there's no written recording of what happened, the people are entitled to know the sum and substance of your conversation. So that is to be generated today.
We did that, Your Honor, we provided it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the court, if the court recalls, Your Honor.
Uh-oh, turn up.
Made an order, they were supposed to turn over the discovery.
Did they?
What we originally got was, we got a paragraph saying he was gonna talk about his observations, not what the observations were. The day before we started the trial on the 20th, we got approximately a 15-line summary that certainly would not take an hour and a half. With no dates as to when the interview occurred, nothing about the there. By the way, even now, what they're just told the court is, there's an interview in mid-August, they can't even say what date it was. And what they gave us was simply apparently a combination of everything he said.
I know you know what date it is, so what's the date?
It would have been August 16th or 17th.
All right. When was the second time you interviewed? About? No, not about. When was the second time?
Or of course, I'd like to have questions to Bill too, right? On this. We have the same issues with some of the others, right?
All right. Well, let's deal with this and then I'll listen to what you have to say. All right, when was the second time?
It was the 26th, Your Honor.
So 10 days later?
No.
No, 2 days ago, January 26th.
Oh. Where did that interview take place?
That was at our hotel.
How long did that interview take?
Yeah, about the same amount of time, around an hour and a half.
So, was that interview recorded anyway?
Ugh. Audio issue. This is them, not me, guys. Looks like it froze.
15, the court.
All right, here we go.
It's all about 15 lines. The court's aware, on the 20th, the court expressed skepticism. On the 15th, the court expressed skepticism that the defense did not record it, did not write anything down, did not have any substance as to what was said.
Right.
So apparently, after the court gave that lecture, they conducted another interview 2 days ago, where again, they don't record it, they don't make any notes about it, and they don't turn anything over.
They're not required to. If they choose to do their job that way, then they do their job that way.
They are required to let us know that they have interviewed the defendant or the witness.
Yeah.
They have to let us know that interview took place, when it took place, who was there. It appears that, again, I'm not gonna pull punches. It's very clear what's going on.
All right, so what do you suggest?
Well, what I suggest is I find completely disingenuous that we have 3 hours now worth of interviews. We got a total of about 15 lines. Very little detail about what's going on. And so if all of a sudden he ends up testifying to more detail than he gave, and the court already has, because we've said it, if he ends up testifying to more detail than what he has previously provided in this miniaturized summary, then we got a discovery violation.
Are you, who's going to be a question?
I will, Your Honor.
All right, are you going to be going into any subjects or areas that are not covered in what you gave to the prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
So there is nothing that you are going to ask about that does not fall within the summary.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay, then I think there's been I think discovery's been satisfied.
Well, at least this point,
Right.
we can't demonstrate the discovery's not been satisfied because he hasn't testified yet. Does the court really believe that we have 3 hours of interviews and 15 lines? I don't.
I have,
Whiny prosecutor.
this is not the first time I've been aware that lawyers don't take notes of interviews. If Mr. Siegel represents to me that no notes were taken, or Mr. Tacopina represents to me that no notes were taken, I have no basis to disbelieve it. Would I do it that way? No, but if they choose to do it that way, that's their choice. He told you, Mr. Siegel just told you, that any topic that's gonna be inquired about is in the summary that you've got. So for now, discovery has been complied with. All right, let's talk about
He
Phillips.
lost. Prosecutor lost that
When was the first time
argument.
Phillips was interviewed?
That's
Oh, is that one
We were just talking about Levin.
no. What?
Levin, we were just talking about Levin,
Oh.
right? We're not talking about
Oh,
Phillips.
you're right.
All right,
No, you're
when
right.
was the first time Mr. Phillips was interviewed?
It was the week after we reviewed, this letter.
All right, around August 23rd,
That's right.
and where did that happen?
In the office.
Okay, and who was present for that?
Same circumstances, Mr. Tacopina, Ms. Lanzoni, and myself.
And how long did that interview take?
Yeah, about an hour, Your Honor.
1 hour? No notes, or no report?
No.
Did you provide a detailed outline of the sum and substance?
We did, at the same time, we provided that detailed assistance.
Now, do you intend to go into any areas with Mr. Phillips that are not within the summary that you provided to the prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, how many other times did you interview?
That was it.
That's the only time?
That's right.
Just so it's clear, Your Honor, we provided literally with about 12 lines of Mr. Levin's alleged testimony. The issue is not,
We're talking about Phillips now.
excuse me, Levin was 12 lines, Phillips was 18 lines.
Okay.
And I should just add that the issue is not that they're not gonna cover a new area. It's that, as an example, when Mr. Phillips is talking about the actual incident, there's very little information there. It would appear, as the court is aware, the first thing that they said in discovery was that the witness would testify, quote, about his observations during the incident. So they then followed it up with, well, okay, we're now going to tell you apparently a little bit about what he's going to say. So again, Your Honor, this is our concern. Because we've provided with so little of what actually happened, it's not that we're going to introduce a new topic. It's that all of a sudden, these witnesses are going to get on the stand, and the amount of detail they are going to give is going to be completely inconsistent with the minimal information that we will give. When you add in the fact.
Here he goes. He's
that
crying
they're not
again.
required to take notes, but they are absolutely required to immediately after provide, if they're not going to take notes or record, an accurate summary and statements of what the witness has said. So our concern is, we basically were given nothing, almost zero. They're gonna get up on the stand after, again, 2 hours for one, an hour for one, 3 hours prior to the other, and they're gonna testify in greater detail. That, when you combine that with the prior attempts and not turning over discovery, even after the court's order, leads to the inescapable conclusion that they're not complying with the meaning of the letter and the court's order. So I understand the court doesn't have anything it can do now, but the court has been furnished with the discovery they provided. It's not a law.
He just ruled on it.
I haven't been provided any.
It's in, I believe it's in the emails that we have sent. So if not, I will give the court a copy, but it's literally on one page for both of them.
If I'm understanding you, Mr. Siegel, that any topic that you're gonna cover on direct examination,
I'll be
Mr.
doing,
Levin,
I'll be doing this, Mr. Phillips.
all right. Am I correct in assuming that any question that is asked on direct examination by either counsel or Mr. Levin and Mr. Phillips is encompassed in the summary that's been given to the prosecution?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, I just wanted to yes or no. All right.
And I'd like to say more than one word.
Wait. All right. I don't see any other topics to go into. All right,
In
This
terms
judge
of-
is funny.
On this issue of the total.
for now,
there's a couple of other issues that people have. The first issue relates to, it's not just the real evidence of profit. We've been focused with only 2 witnesses at the call.
Right.
It is our understanding there will be no other witnesses that will be called to testify about fraud. The court's aware. Counsel and I have been asking for days, in email, the court is talking to you, are you planning on reducing the gun in this
He
case?
said no.
Well, they refused to answer that question the last week we've been asking. They've also answered the second question, are they now planning, which would be against the court's discovery order, to call any other witness regarding the fraud information? Can the court please inquire? We've only been told there's 2 witnesses they're calling, plus maybe the defendant.
So, any other witnesses that you intend to call or reasonably intend to call?
But the only possibility is sitting right to my right, right? So,
So it's either the 11 Phillips and Rocky, or just 11 and Phillips.
The next issue that we would have, Your Honor, is we want to make sure, there have been times where counsel has asked to approach, but he still wanted to be on the record. Our position going forward is that unless it is something having to do with an issue with the jury, the prior times occurred before the jury was selected. Counsel made certain arguments in open court, then he asked to approach, and he made different arguments, but he wanted to do it on the record. Unless the court.
ASAP Rocky's lawyer is over it.
The last time this happened, Your Honor, as the court is aware, counsel elected at his request to give a speech that he was very happy with his jury, wanted it to be known that he was happy with the
Give
jury.
a speech.
You are.
Stop, don't interrupt.
Oh, okay, fine.
You'll have a chance.
Oh, I know, but he should.
You'll have a chance.
I know
Wait
what
till
he's
he
doing.
finishes, then you will have a
I
chance.
know what he's doing right.
Do not interrupt neither of you interrupt the other.
Hot damn.
He said, I need to say something in open court. And then he made a statement about how they were very happy with the jury. Clearly, it didn't matter to the court. He then asked to approach. When we asked to approach, he said he wanted to do it on the record. On the record. But outside the press, he then complains about jury selection, about a specific juror, etc. We are not going to participate in Mr. Tapapina's attempts to manipulate the media. Again, that ties into the fact that when the case started, I very kindly said to Mr. Tapapina, hey, listen, I know you've been speaking to the media before trial. There was no worry of every right. Are you going to be saying anything once the trial started? He assured me in front of my co-counsel, the response was, John, I would never do that. I won't be saying anything to the press. Meantime, he is speaking, I already sent the court this, he's speaking to TMZ, he likes to say things to the press as he leaves the building. We took him at his word that he wasn't going to be talking to the press while the pendency of this trial was going on. This is necessitated as an example. We ended up hearing his arguments basically about the jury issues repeated by Al Sharpton. We're not going to try this.
Oh my God. He is bringing up this prosecutor is super whiny. First off, look at the judge's stance. Look at how the judge is just sitting here. He is over it already. We're starting. The day just started. We don't have a witness on the stand yet, but you can see that this prosecutor is going through housekeeping items. He does not want when they approach the bench, sometimes it's on the record, sometimes it's off the record. So he just wants it to be consistent the whole time. He's arguing about everything. And they're all just minor housekeeping things that he's nitpicking at. Now he's talking about Al Sharpton, which honestly, it is a good point. If you guys are not aware, this is day 2 of the trial. The jury is not in the room right now, but they're about to come in. Guess what? Out of all 12 people on this jury, not a single person is Black. There's 4 alternates. Not one alternate is Black. Both of these gentlemen, both A$AP Rocky and A$AP Relli, they're Black. But none of these people in the box are Black. So Al Sharpton talked about that. This is happening in LA. There's a lot of Black people in LA. I think I looked it up. It's somewhere around 300,000 out of 3 million. So it's a sizable population. You're telling me you couldn't find anybody that was melanated? I mean, I don't know.
We're going to ask the court at this point to order Mr. Tapapina to not speak to the press during the pendency of this trial.
Okay, I guess I'll start in reverse, Your Honor. First of all, I'd like him to provide a quote of what I said to the press, because one thing I've never done is speak about the facts of this case since the jury's been out. Never, okay? But I do have here a quote from the district attorney, Mr. Hoffman, who did quote to Extra that he appreciates any time defense counsel is pretty sure they're gonna prevail, but we don't bring cases unless we're very sure we can win those cases by establishing and meeting our burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I believe that when we see the evidence that's going to be presented in this case, we'll meet that burden. So that's their district attorney, okay? So I should be able to rebut something like that. That's different. That's saying we're gonna win the case, we know the evidence. and we'll
Oh,
meet our
shit.
burden. I talked about nothing other than the potential issues with the jury. I didn't speak about the facts, I didn't speak about Mr. Efron. And I won't do that. Now, the last thing he said was I spoke to TMZ. Again, I defy him to provide to the court what I spoke about, because I didn't violate any order. First of all, there's no order. But I certainly, I know enough not to speak about the facts of the case. By the way, I didn't open statement to the jury. Certainly, I would never say anything outside of that opening statement. I didn't even do that, Your Honor. I simply talked about the issue with the jury. And the reason I did that is because he just did again what he did the other day. Stood up and said, we're not happy with this jury. Try and get that message back to the jury that we're not happy with them. That is not the case. But, Your Honor, the reason I raised the issue about maybe we would have selected a different jury, or certainly a different juror or two, is because of the late disclosure of the ballistics report after the jury was impounded. And we have a right to make that record. It doesn't mean I'm unhappy with the jury. So, speaking of disingenuous, we're going to now get into disingenuous. But I did nothing but protect the record, protect my client. So that's first and foremost. So again, the issue that I spoke about off record was caused by their late disclosure of a report that was generated over a year ago by their lead detective in this case. That Mr. Lewin wants everyone to believe he just stumbled upon 3 days ago. He just stumbled upon 3 days ago.
You don't have to whisper, just talk.
Try to get that middle ground there.
Just talking to normal.
This is heating up.
That he just stumbled upon 3 days ago. He made all these accusations about that's disingenuous. I don't believe it. Well, I don't believe that they just found that report from their lead detective who they interacted on a daily basis in this case 3 days ago. I don't believe it. That was done in January 2020.
I already made findings.
I understand.
In my view, nothing nefarious. I don't want to go over things that we've already gone over.
Well, we just did. We still have to do it.
He's asking that that both sides be directed not to make comments to the press. That's what he's asking for now. I'm not poking fingers. I'm not accusing anybody of any unethical conduct. Let's just move forward. Here's what I want to
I
happen.
don't think so.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, I just listened to it.
Go.
Now, we heard a little about the discovery issues about, this not being enough. I mean, I think this is incredibly detailed when it comes to Mr. Phillips, especially if this is a videotape. This is really detailed. Tell us what he's going to observe at the scene, what he's going to testify to, what he observed at the scene. Putting that aside.
Based on what I've heard, I am satisfied under the circumstances that both sides have satisfied this discovery rule.
So
So there's no reason to go over about whether you have complied with discovery. I already found that you did.
Okay, now I want to talk about Ben. There was a police officer, the first one out of the box, Sergeant Zizzo.
Right.
The only thing we have from them, because, I assume the rules apply to both sides, right? The only thing we have from them is a 2-line email saying we spoke to him on Wednesday. He testified Friday, recall. We spoke to him on Wednesday, and Jack, you have the emails?
So they were just fighting over a
Here's what we have
TMZ
in the-
statement.
on Officer Zizzo, that they spoke to him on Wednesday, which they also denied on the witness stand, by the way. He said the first time he spoke to him on substance was the day of his testimony. He said that he advised the the district attorney that he responded to the shooting while on patrol, and it's common occurrence that they'll receive a call to shooting and respond only either to find no evidence or the victim, but also sometimes find out whoever called was intentionally misrepresented. 2 sentences, that's the discovery. He testified that 1, he may have missed the bullet casings, and 2, he didn't know where to look. 2 sort of important things and he didn't agree, he didn't search the entire street. That was not in their disclosure. Not their disclosure at all. But yet I'm being accused of not giving them the right information. First of all, I don't have the date. There's nothing in their disclosure that they interviewed Friday before his testimony. We don't even have that interview. We don't have that date. We have Wednesday only. The witness said, no, I didn't speak to him on Wednesday or something. That was just about logistics. Okay, so before we start casting aspersions, I wasn't going to even raise it, Mark. Just happened. I understand this is trial. But, being that we're now throwing stones, let's hold the kettle black.
Let's not throw stones.
Well, I know, but they started. So I'm going to respond.
Oh shit.
This is a no squabbling zone.
Oh, after he swallows. Well, I'm swallowing back.
Oh, squabbling.
Well, you're a good squabbler. You're doing a good job squabbling. All right. Regarding what Sergeant Zizzo testified, did he write a report?
He did not write the report, Your Honor. But he obviously before he body worn video.
That's been provided.
That was provided.
All right.
Years ago.
You're an experienced attorney. All of you are experienced attorneys. Sometimes, a witness will say something that is not in a report. That's to be expected. A report is a summary, a sum and substance of what the witness said. It's much more fleshed out when the witness is on the stand.
Well, I agree with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not even going to raise the fact that he said he didn't speak to them on Wednesday and he only spoke to them. I don't do that. It's petty.
It is petty.
But I want to make sure that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That when Mr. Phillips testifies and he says something, a word that's not in this thing, it's not like, you didn't tell that to the lawyers. It's just not right. This is not a transcribed statement. There will be nothing outside of the scope of this. But the same way I didn't get anything from them regarding I may have missed the shell cases. I didn't get a report that said that for a statement.
Again, to be repetitious, I do not find either side has violated any discovery statute or any discovery rule. Regarding the press, the jury has been told not to read or watch anything about this case. I'm going to assume that they follow that rule. But what I am concerned about is someone that the jury knows is going to read or watch something about the case and then relate it to the jury. So here's the rule. I don't want any attorney in this case saying anything to the press while the case is going on.
Oh shit.
That's it.
I can't have him on a show?
Call it a gag order.
We will advise.
It's a gag order?
You said nothing. We will advise the DA as well. To be clear, the DA responded to Mr. Tacopina's published report where he dared quote Nathan Hockman and try the case himself. But we're going to tell the DA.
Let's move forward. Yeah, just let everybody know in your office who may say something, tell them not to say anything to the media or the press.
Will do, Your Honor. We had 2 last issues which are brief. The first issue is we're going to request, and made this request before. Counsel and I've tried many cases in front of the court. If there's anything even close, I forward to in advance. If there's any evidentiary issue, which is even a close call, in terms of the defense interviewing, bringing up, asking questions, we want to make sure that they have to approach and that we 402. You don't want to be in a position to have to unring the bell.
That goes for both sides.
Finally, Your Honor, the court is aware. On Friday, it doesn't really matter what circumstances were. Mr. Tacopina literally started screaming at me in the. So again, Your Honor, I'm not interrupted. Mr. Tacopina. As I speak.
Oh my God.
Noises.
They are going back and forth right now, guys. So the prosecutor is the man all the way on the left. He's out of the frame right now. But ASAP's lawyer is the one that has the Harvard Law School bag on the back of his on the back of his chair. And there, you know, shout out to, I think who said it? Somebody said it was up here. One of y'all said we went from scrambling and scraping to squabbling. They literally are squabbling. Jury ain't even in the room yet. This trial actually has some legs. I think we're going to be highly entertained. And he's like, Judge, you know, this man was just screaming at me. Like, oh, it's a little bit, you know, it's a little childish, but I am going to hit play and go back 10 seconds because I want to hear that again.
On Friday, it doesn't really matter what circumstances were. Mr. Tacopina literally started screaming at me in the. So again, Your Honor, I'm not interrupted. Mr. Tacopina.
He's the Did y'all see that? He said, "Oh my God, I was screaming at you." ASAP's lawyer went like this. He said, "You're crying, bro. You are crying. You are crying."
Again, if
why are you crying?
We're following it. But you know, you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. So we would appreciate, as the court is respectfully instructed, there were one lawyer talking, the other lawyer not interrupt. Mr. Tacopina, as court is aware, started literally screaming at me in the courtroom. He basically appeared to challenge me to a fight. And again, I've been doing this longer than he has. I've not had that experience occur before.
Look at ASAP's face.
I'm not going to be treated that way by anybody. I'm certainly not going to be treated that way in a court where I practiced for more than 30 years and in front of a judge I deeply respect. He doesn't have to like me, he doesn't have to get along with me, but he cannot be screaming at me, whether on or off the record. The court was here. The court, I mean, everyone heard and saw it. It's not right. So I'm just asking that the court, again, Mr. Tacopina is an emotional guy, that the court advises.
And you are, both of you are zealous attorneys, aggressive attorneys, both of you are.
We are due to zealous aggressiveness. The court has not heard of me yell or scream at anybody. And again, and it's not a request. I'm not going to take that.
All right, why don't we do this? I did not hear you yell. I did not hear it. If it did happen, it wasn't in my presence. Because you two have this relationship, why don't you not talk to each other unless it's on the record?
Oh, that's.
And then I am involved.
That train is silly. Yes, absolutely, I agree with that. But I want to respond now, because, you know, I can't have it always one way. He makes a record, disparaging remarks, and then I gotta sit here. So, no one screamed, you were there, Your Honor. What's happened, and Mr. Siegel was with me, is Mr. Lewin comes up with his little scolding, sort of bullying attitude, telling me you don't know the rules here, and we're not doing this right, and he didn't like the opening statement, and so on and so forth. So I respond, I don't need a lecture from him, okay? I'm not gonna go into the amount of phone calls I got regarding him and his reputation before this trial started, from lawyers I don't even know, including lawyers inside the district attorney's office currently, okay? I'm not gonna go into it, Your Honor. I'm not petty.
No, and now you're interrupting him. Just that, you were complaining about him interrupting you, you're interrupting him. Don't.
I'm not going into it, Your Honor. I just don't want to do that, but please, there was no one yelling, you were right here. There was an argument between both sides, both of us, I agree. That's not gonna happen, because I'm not gonna speak and get off the record. So you're right about that. That's number one. Number two, you know, I have to also raise an issue, and I'm not past that, I don't want to even talk about that, when Your Honor was here, that's the end of that. Mr. Lewin did something last week that was inappropriate, and the reason I'm raising it is because I don't want it to happen again. This week, Mr. Mayor's significant other may appear here. Last week, Mr. Lewin is his playbook apparently, from the lawyers, went up to my client's family and told my client's family that's not personal, but you know, they should really, hopefully he's really thought about taking a plea because she was facing a lot of jail time, and saying things that played on the emotions of the family. He should have no communication with the defendant's family. I've heard he's done that in every case, that's right here. Well, I don't want the court to instruct him not to communicate with anyone on this side of the fence. Not the client's family, not the client's relative, not the client's friends, because it's inappropriate.
So, Your Honor, so what happened was, is I walked up very kindly to the defendant's mother and sister, and I said the following: listen, I'm very sorry that you're having to go through this. I have a kid myself, I have siblings myself, I know it's not difficult, it's not personal, and I'm truly sorry for what you are having to endure.
All right,
And then I said as follows: I hope that your brother, or your son, I hope that he's really evaluated what he is risking here, because it is a lot.
all right, there's nothing that prohibits,
At the time.
I've heard enough, I've heard enough. There's nothing that prohibits what Mr. Lewin did. You've heard now that the defense does not want you to approach anyone from that side, so don't approach anyone from that side. It's as simple as that.
That's it.
All right,
Your Honor, again, there's just one evidentiary issue we need to deal with.
another one?
Yeah, unfortunately.
What is
and Mr.
God
Lewin
damn.
knows it too, every moment. I just want the record clear on this. But it's that the defense doesn't need to preview our impeachment material on an eliminate motion. Mr. Lewin keeps saying, we need to bring it to the court's attention or his attention when we plan on introducing or using evidence so that he can have a 402 hearing. The law is crystal clear. If I don't need to go further, I won't, because we're on the same page. But the law is crystal clear that there's no rule of law that would require the defense to disclose evidence gathered by an investigator who may tentatively be called by the defense for impeachment purposes. That's Hubbard versus Superior Court. I'll continue. People versus Hunter. Section 105, 4.3, subdivision A1 provides that, quote, defendant and his or her attorney shall disclose to the prosecuting attorney his or her intended witnesses together with any relevant written or recorded statements of those persons or reports and statements of those persons, which we complied with. But the court goes on, but that does not include impeachment statements.
All right, go ahead.
But that does not include impeachment statements a defendant obtains from prosecution witnesses. The prosecutor is not entitled to statements impeaching prosecution witnesses. That's People versus Hunter. People versus Sloan. Here, the defense, the court noted, could use the messages on the tape to impeach a witness without disclosing the tape to the prosecution. The prosecutor was wrong that using the tape for impeachment was the same as introducing it into evidence. A few more cases. People versus Ledesma. The court noted, to the extent the evidence at issue was admitted to impeach, counsel may have been unwilling to give the prosecution the benefit of a preview of the defense case in order to obtain such rulings, which is what apparently Mr. Lewin is seeking to do now. But the court noted that the defense was appropriate in the way it proceeded. Two more. Izaga versus Superior Court.
This is Zaga, yes.
Right. The defense is not required to disclose any statements it obtains from prosecution witnesses it may use to refute the prosecution's case during
And
cross-examination.
you're gonna mention Tillis.
I'm going to mention Morrison, in which the court noted, nor did the discovery statutes obligate counsel to disclose she would impeach a witness with evidence of prior misconduct, particularly in that case, gun possession. Now, I understand, Your Honor, that the prosecution here wants us to do their homework for them, but the law doesn't require us.
Ooh, burn.
All of the impeachment material that we have arises from their own discovery.
All right, let me tell you my view on impeachment. I'm aware of this Zaga, but that's a California Supreme Court case. There's another California Supreme Court case that's called People versus Tillis, T-I-L-L-I-S. Both of them say the same thing. Impeachment evidence does not have to be disclosed. Impeachment witnesses, once the decision has been made to call them, does have to be disclosed, but the evidence does not. All right, we are at 5 minutes to go. I don't want the jury to wait, so let's give Kathy a break, and if anybody wants to use the facilities, they can. I want to get started right at 10:30.
I just have one thing before we wait for Sam, just logistics. And
What's
budget
logistics?
not controversial. The piece of evidence we put in on the defense.
Okay, so they just took a break. For those that are coming in, the prosecutor and the defense team just fought for a little bit about a lot of pettiness. The jury is still not even in the room yet, but there was a lot of petty insults being thrown back and forth. The prosecutor brought up that he doesn't want the defense team talking to TMZ because, you know, they talked about the whole Al Sharpton thing and the whole, not having a diverse jury pool. So we talked about that because there's no Black people on the jury. So apparently A$AP Rocky's attorney made a comment about that. And so the prosecutor's like, that's not cool. And then apparently they had another incident where the prosecutor said that the defense attorney, A$AP's lawyer, was screaming at him and how it was inappropriate. So the judge is threatening both of them, like, listen, how about y'all just don't talk to each other unless I'm involved? Crazy, right? Crazy. So they went to go get the jury. They're taking a 10-minute break. They should be back shortly. And when they do return, A$AP Relli, who is the victim in this case, is going to be testifying. So we're at the very, very beginning of this. Turns out Rihanna is going to be making an appearance tomorrow. So that should be interesting too. Let me see if we have enough catch-up time. Let me make sure that we are all caught up. Yeah, guys, we are all caught up, and it appears that the court is on a break. It's 10:39 Pacific time. I'm on the East Coast. It's 1:39 where I am. So we're just waiting for them to return. In the meantime, let's check out who we have in the chat with some super chats. Shout out to Ellen, who became a member. Thank you, Ellen. Ellen has been with us back in the YSL days. So it's great that you became a member, Ellen. You're going to love it here. I know you already do. But welcome back. E. Capone, thank you so much, E. Capone, with the $5 super chat. He says, wow, 2 in a row. Yes, guys. For those that are joining us for this afternoon session, this whole week, I am helping us catch up with the Karen Reed case. It's up here in my neck of the woods in Massachusetts. That case is crazy. Do you want to know what we saw? There was police collecting evidence in these red Solo cups. I kid you not. I was like, what? Because it was evidence. It was blood in the snow. They were scooping up snow with the blood evidence. Then they put it in a paper grocery bag. And then that's how they brought it back to the police station. I was like, what is happening? So that case is pretty interesting. We'll be doing those at 9 a.m. my time in the mornings. And then we'll be doing A$AP Rocky in the afternoon. But it's like, it is crazy. So we are all caught up on that. And E. Capone, now that I see you, I'm going to come over to Cash Apps because I did see you send a few Cash Apps over the weekend. So I want to thank you for that publicly. Shout out to E. Capone. Yesterday, dropped me a 7, says, I'm sad, AV, my team lost. Thank you so much. Was this might have been Sunday. Who played? I didn't pay attention, whether the Patriots or the Celtics or if our teams ain't playing. I don't really pay attention. But thank you so much for that one, E. Capone. Kelly Kell, I think, hit me up over the weekend as well with the $15 Venmo. So thank you, guys. I like to shout those out whenever we come back post-weekend. Shout out to Deonra with the 2, says maybe some Black people don't want jury duty. That could be it too. Like sometimes people don't want to be on juries, right? Like maybe you don't believe in the judicial system. Wink, wink. A lot of people say that when they are up for jury selection. But let me say this though. The defense team did have an opportunity to talk to some of these jurors as well. So it might just be the selection process. But at the end of the day, how is it possible that no people of color were selected, right? The other thing is A$AP Rocky is a celebrity. And we saw this a little bit in the YSL case, right? Are the jury members really not going to look at the news? Like we know we can tell that they are going to do it. These are celebrities. And another big thing that came up in jury selection was Rihanna, RiRi. Why? Because she's a billionaire. I mean, she owns Fenty Beauty. She has the athletics line. She is one of the biggest female singers of our time. And she has 2 kids with A$AP Rocky. So they were even thinking about, does Rihanna impact this trial in any way? She's going to be coming to the courthouse tomorrow. So maybe we will see Queen RiRi sitting behind the bench there, or at least that desk to support her guy. But the other thing that came up is during the squabbling just now, during the squabble, it turns out that A$AP Rocky rejected his plea deal. And let us know what you guys think in the poll. He was offered a plea deal for 180 days in jail. And he decided to reject that plea deal. And he is facing 24 years for these assault charges, right? So he decided to take his chances. Now, he made his decision to reject the plea deal. Apparently, this prosecutor, and I'll get his name again, the one that was whining. The other situation that we have is after that plea deal was rejected, he was going up to ASAP Rocky's family members in the hallways at the court and was just like, oh, can you have him, can you talk to him? It's really unfortunate what happened. Maybe you can convince him to take the plea deal. Why are you doing that? Leave these people alone. So the judge just ruled on that too. Like, hey, prosecutor, like, listen, just stop talking to them. That's all you have to do. We don't need to argue about it. Don't speak to anybody on the defense's family side. Like they're asking you that respectfully. Like, don't do it. Shenanigans. But anyway, back to DeAndre here. That was a big issue when it came to this jury. Dub right side, it's good to see you. Y'all coming out the shadows today. I haven't seen you guys in so long. But yeah, we are waiting for trial to get started. They are coming back to the courtroom. And in the meantime, I do have some stuff prepared for you guys as we wait for them to come back to the courtroom. The jury's going to be seated. We're going to continue with, there is a police officer that responded on the scene. They might wrap up with his direct examination, cross-examination, and then hopefully we go right to Relli, who is a former member of the ASAP mob. He used to be cool with ASAP Rocky. So Relli's going to take the stand today, and he's a victim of this crime. So it is going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. And then think about ASAP Rocky's attorney. He seems to be a big guy. He likes his suits, and he can come off as a little bit intimidating. So what is that cross-examination going to look like? It looks like we are in for quite the ride today, y'all. Like, seriously, it should be interesting. But let's check out this TMZ story. They just posted this morning. Yeah, this morning. Here we go. Rihanna plans to attend the ASAP Rocky trial Wednesday. There she is, Queen RiRi. Rihanna is throwing her full support behind ASAP Rocky because she's planning on showing up Wednesday for his LA criminal trial. Of course, RiRi will cause quite the stir when she makes her grand entrance at the downtown LA courthouse with a circus-like media atmosphere surrounding the high drama. A source with direct knowledge of the case tells us the plans could change, but right now she is slated to be there tomorrow. Here's a picture of ASAP Rocky. He has been pushing people out of the way. The paparazzi in LA is different. You know, these people are approaching you with a camera and they're putting it in your face. They're all like, oh, let's get pictures of ASAP Rocky. Let's get off, like put the camera, the big lenses in your face. And so apparently, I think it was Friday, he had like shoved some of the paparazzo out of the way. So it is going to be quite the fiasco, y'all. It goes on to say, and while it's unclear what testimony will be heard Wednesday in court, RiRi will likely be sitting in the gallery with all regular folks, which should be an interesting visual in of itself. The superstar has already factored in early parts of the trial. Last week, TMZ broke the story. Rihanna was an element in the jury selection process, as well as potential jurors were questioned whether they were fans of Rihanna or bought her Fenty merchandise. Interesting. Prosecutors and Rocky's high-powered defense attorney, Joe Tacopina, recognized RiRi could sway the votes of possible jurors, even though, legally speaking, she's not supposed to have an effect. But jurors are only human, and we're talking about RiRi. I mean, come on. Rihanna's expected court appearance Wednesday comes as her partner stands trial for allegedly shooting his former friend A$AP Relli in a heated argument on a Hollywood sidewalk in 2021. The DA slapped Rocky with 2 felony charges of assault with a firearm following his 2022 arrest at LAX, and when he returned home from Barbados. But Tacopina says Relli's claims are all bullshit and just an attempt at extorting his famous client. If convicted, Rocky could face up to 24 years in California state prison. This is after he turned down a plea deal that would have required him to plead guilty on one of the charges in exchange for a recommended 180 days of jail and 3 years of probation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are looking at. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because I need to refresh it for a second. But what do y'all think? Should Rocky have taken that plea deal? 180 days in jail. What is that, 6 months? put a 1 in the chat if you think he should have just taken the deal, or put a 2 in the chat if you're like, no, AV, he needs to fight it. Fight for his rights. 6 months in jail. So that is crazy. You know, we also have the surveillance footage as well that they showed in court on Friday. And what is in that footage? It shows the actual altercation between ASAP Relli and ASAP Rocky. What I'm hearing is a lot of people are like, Relli is a snitch, right? Because he went and told on his friend ASAP Rocky. Craziness. So that's the general sentiment. Let me see what y'all think. Oh, I thought you said props. I'm like, AV as a pap is funny as hell. I don't know. Okay, so 1's in the chat. Paparazzi photographers. Yes, like they're all in your face. This trial should go ASAP, says Petty Pendergrass. I like the new picture, Petty. Fresh Egg says 1. Cheney says 2. Nene says 2. Keyshawn says 2. Summer says 1. You guys are a little divided on this one. Interesting. They can't be serious if they're reducing a 20-year sentence into 6 months. I mean, that's the other thing. What do you have? Like that, the defense said it. Like, where's the gun? Where is the prop gun? That's the other thing. It's a prop gun. It's not even a real gun. But the thing is, with assault, it doesn't have to be a real gun. As long as the person thinks that you're, about to put them in danger and they're in fear for their life, it doesn't have to be a real gun. Crazy, right? Wild. Let me just make sure we have a view of the courtroom. Sorry, y'all. Build it as you fly it. And we are live and they're on a break. So we're just waiting for them to come back and we'll go from there. Dion says he has to fight, or a 30 million civil lawsuit against him would be won. That is interesting. That is interesting. Carissa says he a snitch. That's what I mean. A lot of people are like, what happened? Like, what happened, Relli? And I think I told y'all on Friday when we started this, I have a friend that knows Relli from New York, in Harlem, that knows him very well. So, he's never really talked to him about the case. But a lot of people are like, what is going on with these two? Interesting. If I was rich too, but I'm not, so 1. Okay. Sire says, bro been trying to get in ASAP's pockets. That's the other thing that people are saying. Because this is criminal. And what's the big difference with that? If it's criminal, that means you're not going to get any monetary damages for this. Right? They could have settled the matter separately if it was civil, right? But that's the thing. He's going for criminal charges here. So that means you had to share what happened with law enforcement. We're to see what he has to say for himself on the stand today. Like, what happened, Relli? What led up to this? Because we saw the text messages too. And ASAP was like, Rocky, what are you talking about? Like, it just seemed very one-sided. So I'm very curious to hear Relli's side of the story, right? Because he's going to go first. The prosecutors are going to put him on the stand. He's going to talk about his account of the situation and the scenario which led up to it. And then you guys see Joe. Joe's going to get up and he's going to cross-examine that man to hell or high water. That's actually probably going to be the bombshell of the day. And it could go into tomorrow too, Usually they go until about 4 p.m. Pacific time, and they'll probably take an hour lunch, right? So Kiana says, if you shot at me, I'm snitching too. I don't blame you. Everybody handles it differently, how they would do it, right? Chelsea says, these DAs are shady. They be trying to get money off of ridiculous evidence. They do. They totally do. Les says, avoid... Good morning, AV in chat. I think that's what it says, Les. Thank you. Jason says, they're in the judge's chamber right now with the court reporter. Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff that you guys just saw, like them going back and forth, was completely unnecessary to do publicly. I do think that should have been something that they handled privately before, they turn the cameras on. But Keyshawn says, Relli don't look like he's in fear in that video either. Lead Buffoon says a 30 million lawsuits can still go forward if Rocky is found not guilty. That is correct. That is a good point. Relli is ASAP out of money. Y'all are funny. We're waiting for them to come back, guys. I think it's going to be aggressive. Definitely agree with you, Hi-Fi, because, you know, we're here. Everybody's in this courtroom because of Relli. So we want to see what account he has of the scenario and going from there. Now, for those who haven't seen the footage, I'm going to show it to you. We can look at it. This is a snippet from court on Friday. So let's look at that real quick. So that way, for those that haven't seen it, you can be brought up to speed. And I'll keep this up so as soon as they come back, we come back. So let us share this screen instead. Here we go. This is the surveillance footage. I'm going to keep it muted because it is muted when they showed it. But here we go. So there they are. There's some squabbling. That's ASAP on the right. Presumed to be Relli on the left. Somebody's trying to break up the fight. There's the gun. There it is right there. So that is the gun. So ASAP did pull out a gun. It is purported to be a prop gun. So it was not real. Let's see the rest of this interaction. He still has it out. He put it back in his pants. And this is a different version. It's a little blurry, but we have ASAP there. Allegedly, that's where the shooting takes place. It's hard to see it. And then you see some people running. I don't know if it's a fight or it's so hard to see, guys. It looks like it might be a fight. And then you see people running. This is another, from another angle. Another angle. More running. From another house. Interesting, y'all. It's always good to look at it a second time. It's another house. Okay. So that's your scenario. That's where we are, right? So waiting for them to come back. But what do y'all think if you were seeing that? I mean, I think that the piece of footage that is the most important is the one that has like 4 or 5 people in it, but it's so blurry that you can't really see what's going on. I mean, I couldn't make out what was happening. Did you guys? Could y'all see what was going on? Put a 1 in the chat if you could like kind of piece together what was happening in that footage, or put a 2 on the chat if you're like, maybe that was blurry as hell. I don't know what was happening. Interesting. I don't know, y'all. That's a tough one, because if they're gonna put that in front of the jury, and the jury's got to figure out what's going on. And I don't know if that is a pretty compelling, strong piece of evidence. So yeah, y'all are saying too, it's so blurry. Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. I'm glad it is not just me. Carissa says, what bothers me is when Relli had ills on the ground, everyone takes off and leaves him. Yeah. Yeah, we see that too. We see that too. Dub is like, I have no idea what I was looking at. Brandy says it wasn't just 180 days. There were years of probation as well. Maybe you could pull up the offer. Yeah, I can do some digging and see if I could find it on Pacer and pull up what the plea offer looked like. Yeah, usually with these things, like it will either come with jail time or no jail time. We saw it with the YSL defendants. And speaking of YSL, I don't know if you guys have heard, I saw Kat Now Williams, huge shout out to her. I saw her streaming on this earlier. One of the defendants in the original defendants in the YSL case, you guys remember Little Rod, the young one, Rodalius Ryan? He's represented by Angela Williams, who did a great collaboration with her on this channel, interviewed her. Well, he had a case going up on appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court, and unfortunately, it didn't work out well for him. They upheld the original trial court's decision, so that means he's stuck with a life sentence, which is really sad. But just an update on that one, because he was offered a plea deal right before the YSL case ended. And he had to plead guilty to the RICO charges. That was the only one he had. But separately, he had that murder charge happening as well. So that came out this morning. But there's never a dull day with legal news. 100%. So Kiana says, I think it was 3 years probation and or 7 years times, or 7 years served. They would give him 7 years served. Interesting. Thank you, Kiana. Thank you, Kiana. But yeah, we're just waiting for them to come back, guys. Court has started, but not started. We saw some squabbling between the prosecutor and the defense teams. We're waiting for the jury to come on in. We're going to continue with the officer that was on the stand on Friday, and then Relli is likely going to pop in. Also, if y'all have just been, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, check your notification options. I'm hearing that YouTube is playing games with all of us this month in January because of the possible invasion of TikTok creators coming over. So a lot of people have not been getting notifications. Just double check that it's set to all, so that way, you know, whenever we go live or we're doing something, you get notified. Because some people are like, I get more of your community tab stuff instead of your other stuff. And we've been putting out content regularly, you know, like we've been streaming almost every day. We just put out a Diddy video. Y'all are gonna love this. Here's the latest on Diddy. Yes, he's suing somebody. There's this woman that he's suing that came out last week. But the other thing that came out on Friday, so Diddy is saying that the feds are spying on him in jail. And this is the tough part. This is controversial, but he might be right. Diddy might be right on this one. Here's why. Because you think about it, you're like, Diddy, come on, you're in jail. Like, it's jail. Like, what do you think? But this is what's happening from a legal standpoint. So Diddy's prepping for his trial, which is quickly coming up. Cinco de Diddy is coming. It's on Cinco de Mayo. It's May 5th. So Cinco de Diddy is on its way, right? It's like, what, 3 months away? February, March, April? Yeah. So it's 3 months. So they're prepping for trial. Now, what's happening is there's this thing called attorney-client privilege, right? If I'm preparing you for trial and if you're in jail, they are not supposed to listen to our discussions, right? They'll probably monitor for safety purposes. But the big thing is if you as a client have a notebook, you have your yellow notebook and you're taking notes and all those things as we're preparing for your defense, you get to keep that. So there have been some searches of Diddy's cell. And it turns out that there was this investigator that's been involved with the prosecution team. And there are some notes that are missing. So Diddy sends a letter to the judge and is just like, this is a violation of my rights. Like, they're violating attorney-client privilege. And here's the proof. So on several occasions, as they were planning these searches of Diddy's cell, there have been some issues on whether the prosecution team is, the feds in this sense, are directing the need for the search, or the jail personnel are, routinely directing the search. That's what Diddy's argument is. We can't get clear answers on this. So there's that. So check out that video. That's pretty quick. So we read the paperwork on that one. Next, this whole Jay-Z Tony Busby thing, that's heating up. Here's why. So Tony Busby hired some attorneys for himself. A lawyer hired some lawyers, okay? Like, that's what happened. Jay-Z's team is saying Jane Doe is lying. The timeline doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. Throw this case out. Let's motion to dismiss. Let's go. So you have that. Then, in addition to that, they want to, file Rule 11 sanctions on Busby because obviously this woman, 5 days after the lawsuit was amended to put Jay-Z's name on it, went straight to MSNBC or NBC and did that interview where there were inconsistencies with what she said versus what was in her complaint. Like, for example, they interviewed the father who did not remember, dropping her off and picking her up because it was a 5-hour drive. He said he would remember that. That happened, right? So Jay-Z's team is like, sanctions because Busby, you should have vetted what your client is telling you, and you signed your name on this paper, and you're not supposed to do that. You have to vet it. Here's the reality. Busby, 1-800 number, you remember that image, big red letters, did a press conference in October. If anybody has been assaulted by Diddy, call this number. So a lot of people did. 2,000 people did. They narrowed it down to the best 100 cases, and Jane Doe she was one of those 100 cases. Now, the lawsuit didn't start there. The lawsuit actually started with another law firm who supposedly did the due diligence. So they transfer it over to Tony Busby. Now, again, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, is not backing down. He's just like, this guy needs to be sanctioned. He did not do his job. And Busby's like, well, now you guys are harassing me. You're harassing my former clients. Like, you're trying to dig into if I've done something like this before. They even convinced some lady who got HSV2 to file a lawsuit against Tony Busby for giving it to her. It's so messy. So I gave you guys an update on that. So a lot of people were like, hey, I didn't get the notification for that video, but we put both of those out over the weekend and we just read the paperwork on it. But here's where the plot thickens. Everybody was hitting me up and they're like, AV, why did Busby hire Trump's lawyers? And then I looked it up. Like, that's fake news. Trump had hired that law firm at one point, but the attorneys that are representing Busby are taken over on behalf of Busby and Jane Doe. So it's like they filed notices last week to get involved in the case, and then that document came right out. So it's going to be a pretty busy next few weeks legally. We've got our eyes on this Jay-Z matter, our eyes on the Diddy situation, because Diddy is giving us a preview of what his defense looks like. He did come out with another fairly strong document, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, talking about his rights being violated. He's really going to be centered on that. You guys remember that also they revealed that, Cassie had some of these videos that she was keeping in the cut and hiding and shared those with feds. But here's the issue. There's not anything violent happening in those videos that she shared with the feds. At least that's what the attorneys, Diddy's attorneys, were saying. The problem with that, you know what the feds are doing? They have those videos. Now, Diddy is saying his rights are being violated because he wants to be able to examine those videos, give it to his experts, pull the metadata, go from there. He can't because the feds are keeping it. The only way that he can look at those videos is if his attorneys go to, the law enforcement agency that has them, and they're holding them. So they have to go physically just view it. They can't get a copy of it. They can't have anybody examine it. And they're saying, government, that's a violation of his rights. We should be able to scrutinize any evidence that's brought forward. And we're not even at trial yet, guys. So you can see that Diddy is kind of leading with this, this narrative of, and we'll see how he proves this, right? Because a lot of people are saying that, for what the charges they have against him, they're just not enough, or we're not seeing, examples of the trafficking, things like that. Like, I don't know, to each their own. I want to see the evidence, a lot of people do. But he is really leaning into rights being violated. So Cowboy says, aren't they Diddy's videos? Allegedly, the witness who's testifying and this evidence is coming in through, they were on her devices. So Diddy's in the videos with the person. It is a woman, witness one, because they referred to her as she. But the feds are keeping them. So it's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, shout out to Cheney Connor, who says, AV's always killing it. Hope you're having a great new year so far. I am. I'm waiting for these people to come back. We are waiting. Shout out to the lead buffoon with the $2 super chat. Says, so similar to YSL, no gun, grainy videos, snitching. That is correct. Yes, that is correct, the lead buffoon. So no gun. And they said that as soon as these proceedings started today. Do you guys have the prop gun? No. Okay. Are you going to provide the prop gun? No. All right. Okay, so there's that. Cool. Next piece of evidence. I just showed it to you guys. The surveillance footage of Rocky and all of this happening. It is so grainy. It's so, I mean, I could not see it. And then I verified with you guys, could you see it? And the answer was no. So we couldn't see that. And then snitching. I mean, does Relli have a motive here? You got to remember, ASAP has 2 kids with Rihanna. They are chilling financially. They're fine. So interesting stuff. But thank you so much, Lita Bufu. Shout out to E. Capone. Says ASAP is taking a risk. He is. He is, guys. And again, we're waiting for this jury to come back. But he is taking a risk. 24 years is a long time. It is. You know, it's going to be hard. And that's why a lot of people are talking about the risk of 24 years and you don't have necessarily a jury of your peers. I mean, you do, but if there's no one of color in there, do you have an advocate in that jury box? Do you? You know, so there is a risk here, but I don't think that they would take the risk unless they knew that the state really didn't have any hardcore evidence. I mean, you guys saw the squabble that just happened. It looks like they're going to be duking it out, so to speak, fighting pretty hard on this one. Shout out to Trucker T Brooklyn with the $5 super chat. Says, hey, AV, sorry, I've been missing your lives. No, you're good. It's not you. It's not you. It's YouTube not letting y'all know I'm here. You know, but I appreciate that, Trucker T. I hope you are being safe on this, on the trucking streets, the highways, right? Thank you so much, brother. It's always great to see you. Kiana says, Relli is a victim, just like Woody. You know, we learned a lot about Woody's testimony. There was a while where a lot of people were thinking that Woody was an informant, which when he testified, he talked to us about his finesse strategy. He puts a little bit of the truth and a little bit of lies together, and he mixes it. He mixes those together. And that is how we would, you know, he would like get through things. Because it was just crazy to me that he got jailed a few times, but not every single time. They would still let him go. And he discovered that that strategy worked for him. Now, here's the thing. Woody came out in a pretty good position after the trial, you know? He really did. You know, he was doing interviews everywhere and made a lot of money. So interesting stuff. Mr. Breezy says, tell the Busby story correctly. The Busby, I'm probably, you know, I'm doing this off of memory. The Busby story is crazy. It really is. I mean, I don't think that he my opinion, I don't think that he properly vetted that lawsuit. And that's not okay, right? He should have vetted every single fact. And the Jay-Z team, I think we did it right before the new year. We looked at their video timeline and it showed how everything got debunked down to, you know, no jumbotrons were out there. Diddy didn't own the house, things of the like, all types of shenanigans. Carissa says, I mean, it's common sense to mix. Mix it. Taco Pina, former defense lawyer for Trump. Thank you, Ruth. A few of you guys have mentioned that. That is A$AP Rocky's attorney. That is in the tighter suits. I think we can look it up right now. I think he supported Trump in the impeachment matters. Trump's had a lot of legal issues. Oh, did y'all hear what happened yesterday? So the Department of Justice, whoever was pursuing Trump for, you know, like they called it lawfare, those type of charges, they all got fired yesterday. All of them. Like you've heard what happened with the executive orders. He's been like busy. He has been busy. So the Department of Justice let all of those people go yesterday. Like they fired a bunch of attorneys. It was insane. I was just like, damn, he's not holding grudges. So you know what that made me feel like? He might be coming for Fonnie. I mean, I don't know. What happens with Fonnie Willis? She was coming after him so hard. And I don't think a lot of people expected that he was going to win the election in an overwhelming way. And he did. But now, you're starting to see some of the actions and you're like, uh-oh, whoa, what's going on here? But I saw that, I was like, dang, he fired almost, like, not everybody at the DOJ. Hold on, let me show it to y'all. I posted it on Twitter yesterday. I was like, oh my God, Trump is not playing. And like the way that the letter read, it was like, you are being fired right now. Open imaging tab. Let's look at it real quick. We got some time because we're waiting for ASAP to come back. Let's share this tab instead. Hold on. I've got old eyes, so let me zoom out for y'all. Here we go. Office of the Attorney General. This came out yesterday. Notice of removal from federal service. This letter provides official notice that you are being removed from your position at the Department of Justice and from federal service, effective immediately. I hear some noise on the other side. Let me just finish this sentence real quick, guys, and then we'll go back in there. It says, as President Trump declared on his first day back in office, the American people have witnessed the previous administration engage in a systematic campaign against its perceived political opponents, weaponizing the legal force of numerous federal lawsuits against federal law enforcement agencies against those perceived political opponents in the form of investigations, prosecutions, civil enforcement actions, and other related actions. Nowhere was that effort more salient than the unprecedented prosecutions of the Department of Justice vigorously pursued against President Trump himself. You played a significant role in prosecuting President Trump. The proper functioning of the government depends on the trust superior officials place in their subordinates. Given your significant role in prosecuting the president, I do not believe that the leadership of this department can trust you or assist in implementing the president's agenda faithfully. As a result, pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution and the laws of the United States, your employment with the Department of Justice is hereby terminated, and you are removed from federal service effective immediately. They fired these people. They fired these people like right away. Crazy. All right, so it sounds like they are back in the courtroom. Let me make myself small. We're gonna hit play and get started with ASAP Rocky.
Since Friday, have you spoken to anyone about your testimony?
I had people ask me about it, but didn't really get into detail.
This is the officer from Friday.
No, sir, we agreed not to in anticipation for that question.
There you go. When you say you have people ask you about it, who asked you about it?
Coworkers, friends, that sort of thing.
Oh, curious.
Sure.
But you going through it with that now. Again, when you were just a recap, when you were arriving at the scene of a call for shooting, you're looking for victims, right?
Correct.
Damage to vehicles in this instance.
Correct.
Shell casings.
Correct.
Now, we put into evidence defense exhibit A. Can you see that on the screen in front of you?
This one doesn't work, but I'll turn.
Okay, thanks. Anyway, the street shown there in this video is Del Mar, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the video starts at the end of East Del Mar, closest to Selma, right?
Correct. It's right at the intersection.
Right. And with the first 15 seconds of that video, you approach a homeless person and ask if he heard a shooting. Do you recall that?
I don't independently recall that.
Okay, let's play that part. That's it, Ryan.
Hey, Val, did you hear any shooting over here? Yeah?
Okay, that's you, right?
Yes, on the left side.
Okay, you were asking, you said, hey, Al, you hear a shooting over here, correct?
Yes, that was me.
Okay. By the way, why was your body cam not on there anymore?
I really don't remember. I don't have an answer for that.
Jordan, just for the purpose of going forward here, we have copies of the transcript of this in case we have to refer to that. I have many copies.
Alex, could you distribute the transcripts to all of the jurors and,
Yes, and do the concept.
does anybody at council table need one of these transcripts?
We'd like to. We
What
don't
do you do? What do you do?
No, I don't think so. That's okay.
No, we got it.
Want me to wait to distribute them?
No, distribute.
Yes, sir.
What are you talking about? Is this going to be?
D.
Easy boy.
I don't want to take it from any of you.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow.
I don't need that.
All right, Kathy, all right, I'm good with that. All right. Does anybody not have a transcript?
I'm taking one point down.
Let's make sure everybody has a transcript.
You know, I don't know if we formally did stipulation, I'm not sure. Both sides stipulate that it's audio recorded or video recorded, yes. On the video where we have a transcript, it's not take down what she's hearing.
Actually, the stipulation is not necessary. There's a rule of court that said that when audio tapes are played, the court reporter does not take it down.
I was referring to that rule of court, or that's what I thought.
I just learned that, 6 months ago. Yeah, there's no stipulations required. They just don't.
Well, if it was, we would say.
So, good.
You gotta take.
Thank you for that.
Take a minute from Mr. Jacobina and I would know.
All right.
That'll happen once in a while. So sorry, obviously, we're looking for signs of shooting again.
Yes.
It's still on. And the video shows multiple officers searching for signs of the shooting on East Belmont, right?
Yes.
Okay. And directing your attention to 22, 35, and 54 seconds of that video, the officers are conducting a search using their flashlights aimed at the ground, right? And we'll get you right there. I said 22, 35, and 54 seconds. So, almost. Anyway, right there. Go ahead, let's go.
Yeah, stop sign, parking lot. Right now? I just said right here. Okay, so what's the make and model?
All right, thanks. Obviously, everyone has their searchlights out looking for evidence, right?
Yes, sir.
And obviously, I think this is something you'd agree with, that you wouldn't have wanted to, and none of you would have wanted to overlook important evidence at the scene where let shooting ran.
Correct.
So it was careful and attentive. An officer, were you a sergeant there as well, or since?
No, sir, I was a police officer 3, I was a training officer.
And then got promoted.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, as an attentive officer, when performing your duty, you made an opposite point. Be careful and attentive looking for evidence, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, initially, you said you thought there were 3 officers at the scene?
Correct, and that was based off of the my body worn video that we watched.
Right, I understand. No problem. But you agree that there's more now, right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. As a matter of fact, there's 7.
okay.
Well, you don't take my word. Let's go to the video. I'll direct your attention to 22, 40, and 36 seconds.
We'll stipulate council, if that helps as well, if there were 7.
Yes, okay. Just want to, just a quick peek. So, okay. Okay, do you see, would you agree that 7 officers are at the scene?
I don't dispute that there were 7 officers at scene.
Not really dispute, but you agree that you see 7 officers right there, right? There are 6 in the frame, including the guy wearing the body cam.
Correct, including that one, yes, 7.
7, okay. And everyone, to your knowledge, was doing their job when they were at the scene, correct?
Yes.
Direct your attention to 22, 37, 03 on that video. That's that you want Greasy Del Mar on the side of the street closest to the parking lot, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we're looking, by the way, for the record, we're looking south towards Selma Avenue, so you're standing on the west side of the street, right?
Correct. I'm presently facing west in this shot, but yes, this is south in this camera.
And officers are searching that area for evidence of shooting with flashlights, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that is directly opposite, Sergeant, that orange portion of that wall there, right?
Well, I'm sorry, what's your question?
That where the officers are, right there,
Right.
including you, is directly opposite that orange, whatever that thing is, portion of a wall,
Correct.
right? Which is next to that adjacent block there, right?
Yes.
A vacant lot, I should say. So that's right across from that orange, whatever, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'd like to show you these two photographs. One is that, but we're gonna put them juxtaposed and put them right side by side. Okay. The first one is basically the still frame of what we just looked at. You see the one on the left?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's you guys right across from that orange wall, we'll call it.
Correct. Yes.
And then the one on the right, with that single individual there, he appears to be standing in that same exact spot. You also start with that orange wall there as well. We can blow it up with the camera. See that, Sarge? See the orange wall on the other side?
I see orange there. I mean, based off this photo, I'll be honest with you, I can't tell much beyond that. I
We'll
see
go back out. There's that vacant lot right there, right?
Right.
You see
Okay.
that?
Yeah, and you know what, the driveway on this side, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's basically where that individual is where those officers are, correct?
Approximate, yes, I would say so.
Okay. And so just as we talked earlier about the parking lot where your body game was, just as in the parking lot, you agree there was no sign of a shooting on the street as well?
Correct.
No blood?
All right, guys, real quick, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Tip Network. Huge channel. I love these brothers. They are amazing at what they do. If any of the mods are around, please drop the link to their channel. They talk about all things manhood, lots of hip hop entertainment. I know you guys would love it. Check them out if you haven't already. Let's get back to the cross-examination of this Sergeant Zizzo. Tommy Zizzo.
No bullet holes?
No, sir.
No shell casings?
No, sir.
No physical evidence of shooting was recovered at all?
No, sir.
Directing your attention to 22:37 and 29 seconds. We could play this portion. Go ahead.
For checking the area, it doesn't look like anybody's heard or anything like that.
By the way, for the transcript, what you were, anyone what pages? Sorry.
That's right. Zizzo is an actress's son, Erica Jane.
Page 2, line 14 of that transcript, which is defense exhibit B, please. I'm sorry, do you have one? Okay.
I actually do not.
Oh, okay. Should we get you one? Okay. Sorry, I'll give you this copy. Let's see, page 2, line 12, line 14. Thank you, sir. Okay. Can we start playing that portion again, maybe go back a few seconds? Okay.
We're checking the area, it doesn't look like anybody's heard or anything like that.
Okay. So that's one of your, you know who that was speaking?
I actually don't.
Okay. Well, one of the officers, right?
Yes.
And you say basically we're checking the area, it doesn't look like anyone got hurt, right?
Correct.
And direct your attention to 22:38, which is basically a minute later, 21 seconds.
And check every car in the block. There's nothing, no hits. To the second PR. Okay, because I got two friends that came up.
This is page 3, Sergeant Henry, line 4, please. Can you play that portion again, please?
They were only possible. And check every car in the block. There's nothing, no hits.
Okay. And then a few seconds later, 22:38:40, which, second one, make sure we direct the right portion of the transcript. Nice. Okay. Next course, I'll direct you to the same page, page 3, line 20. So there, line 20. And now we play that portion. Go ahead.
No evidence for now. We can no evidence.
Okay. So one of the officers, remember that was speaking, by the way?
I did.
Who was that?
So at the time, Officer John Cook, now Sergeant John Cook.
Sorry, John, okay. It said it's gonna be no evidence for now, we have no victims, no evidence, right?
Correct.
Now, directing your attention, direct your attention to 22:40:04. Last page, here it is. Go to page 5, line 2, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen. Page 5, line 2. And go ahead, you can play that when you're ready.
Yeah, it sounds like someone probably fired a shot in her hair to scare somebody.
Your Honor, we would have an objection on hearsay. It's overruled, it's not coming in. Overruled, sir. Overruled.
And lastly, direct your attention to 22:40 and 26 seconds, which would be same page, page 5, line 14, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, no victims as of now, so unless one pops up in the hospital, probably just a warning shot. Okay, you got it.
Okay, and who was that speaking, do you know?
That's also,
Sergeant Cook?
Yes.
John Cook, whatever.
yes,
Again, no victims as of now, unless it pops up in the hospital, it's probably just a warning shot, right?
that's what he said.
And after responding to Chris Del Mar and Selma Avenue, and carefully searching the scene with the fellow officers, you found no physical evidence of shooting whatsoever.
That's correct.
And of course, to be clear, that includes no evidence of a shell casing recovery, correct?
Correct, that includes that as well. Thank
Well, why are we here?
you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Lewis, anything? Oh, Mr. Solomon, anything? Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, Sergeant,
Yes, sir.
you were asked questions, I believe, on Friday, of Mr. Takina about your conversations with the DAs on this case. Is that something that customarily happens prior to your testifying?
Yes, it is in every case.
And this incident specifically happened approximately just over 3 years ago, correct?
Correct, yeah.
When you first received a subpoena related to this case, did you immediately know what incident you were even called to testify about?
Absolutely not, no.
Was it of assistance to you in refreshing your memory to be directed to your body worn video from this specific incident?
Absolutely, yes.
In his questioning on Friday and also today, Mr. Takapina asked you questions about searching for shell casings, I believe is how he phrased them. Are you familiar with the term shells, casings, cartridge cases, things like that?
Yes, sir.
What is your personal background, training, and experience as it relates to firearms?
Well, I have the training I received from Los Angeles Police Department. I've also also attended various trainings outside on my own time, related to firearms training, different weapon systems, marksmanship, mostly that sort of thing.
In the course of that training that you're talking about, have you, can you even estimate how many rounds of ammunition you fired?
I cannot.
That's a lot.
Right.
Okay.
Over the years, yes.
Are you familiar with, just in general, with handguns, the difference between a revolver and a semi-automatic pistol?
I am, yes.
And in very broad terms, what is the difference between those two types of guns?
Well, I think the biggest distinction would be that a revolver operates from a rotating cylinder where it has each individual chambers, usually typically 5 or 6 chambers, where each round, the bullet, sits inside the individual chambers. And when the trigger is pressed to the rear, the cylinder rotates, hammer comes back, strikes the round, discharges the round. Then it continues to rotate. The difference between that and a semi-automatic pistol is all of those rounds are contained in a magazine, and it's magazine fed, so there is no rotating cylinder. Revolvers do not eject those casings the same way a semi-automatic weapon does. Every trigger press with a semi-automatic weapon, a shell casing ejects. And with a revolver, it stays within that chamber, continues to rotate until the weapon is empty, and then you manually eject those casings all at once.
So when you were looking for evidence at this scene specifically of cartridge cases being on the ground, that would be in the expectation that a semi-automatic pistol was used, correct?
Correct.
Because with a semi-automatic, those cartridge cases, once the bullet is fired, come out the side of the gun.
Correct, with every press of the trigger.
Okay. And is that true of all semi-automatic handguns? That's how they operate?
Yes.
Have you personally fired semi-automatic handguns?
Yes, I have.
When you fire, just in your own personal experience, when you fire a semi-automatic handgun, do those cartridge cases always come out in exactly the same trajectory, or do they kind of have a tendency to go in different directions?
The different directions.
Okay. And is it those discarded or used cartridge cases that you would have been looking for that night?
Those are the same ones we're talking about, yes.
Right. All right. Just to put a fine point on that, when you searched that entire area, the street, the parking lot, you didn't find any cartridge cases anywhere.
No, I didn't.
And none of your 6 other partners who responded there with you observed or recovered any either, correct?
That's also correct.
You were asked questions, or I'm sorry, this, I think you were directed to the transcript, about page 3, lines 4 and 5, where one of your partners says that he checked every car in the lot and there's nothing, no hits, correct?
Correct.
In your experience responding to crime scenes throughout your entire career where a gun has been discharged, what are the types of damage that you would look for on a car, specifically related to a shooting call?
Sure, so flat tires, glass that's been spiderwebbed, right, or totally blown out, impacts to sides of doors or ricochets off of hoods. These are things that I'm just calling from recent observations, those sorts of observations.
Are some of those observations easier to see than others?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you describe that for the jury?
Well, I think the best way to illustrate that is you have a white 4-door vehicle. It's easy to see the impact where the paint is missing and the metal is bent and distorted. And whereas if you have a vehicle with a darker colored paint job, you might miss it, right? You might not see it. It might blend in.
But also, even more generally, if a window is shattered, you're going to see a large shatter in that window, potentially.
Right, it's hard to miss.
And if a tire is flat, that's easier to see too, correct?
Yes, it is.
Versus, and I want you to assume for purposes of this that we're talking about the hole from a 9mm chambered round. If you observed a bullet hole in either plastic or metal of a car from a 9mm round, that would be a lot smaller, correct?
Comparatively speaking to other larger rounds, yes.
And even comparatively speaking to if the 9mm hit glass or a tire, correct?
Correct.
If a firearm was fired in a downward trajectory and struck the ground, would you expect the round would either ricochet up into the bottom of the car or potentially fragment into bullet fragments that would then strike the car?
I think both of those scenarios are possible.
Okay. Did you and your partners check the bottoms of cars?
No, we didn't.
And in fact, to this point of any damage on the cars, were you or any of your partners, to your knowledge at that scene, familiar with the condition of any of those cars before you responded?
No, we weren't.
So you don't know if any of those cars already had any damage on them?
That's correct, yeah.
Briefly, real quick, brief interruption. For those that have been following me along with the Karen Reed case, just breaking news dropped that she just filed a motion to dismiss. More on that later. I can't wait to read all about that.
Okay. I need that video. Do you have it on a DVD or? Yeah. I can do it. I can do it on the Yeah. Sergeant, I'm going to show you defense A. I have the video paused. We've been referring to the timestamp in the upper right-hand corner at 22:38:43. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Just to orient the jury as far as where we're looking at here, would you agree the street on the far right of the screen would be Selma, correct?
Correct. That's Selma that runs east to west.
And then we can just barely see a stop sign. And there's kind of a street in front of the officer who's shooting this video, correct? And that would be Vista Del Mar.
Correct. That's Vista Del Mar.
Okay. I want to direct your attention to the handicap parking stalls there. Would you agree that the one closest to the stop sign does not have a car parked in?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to start this from around the beginning.
Hey, Cal, can you hear me?
One second.
Hey,
My apologies, sir. It's marked on the transcript, but I'm not sure where that corresponds to in the video. One second.
I knew like I said earlier, nobody was trying this down or anything. So, unless one pops up in the hospital, probably just a warning shot. Yeah, you gotta get it.
Sergeant, I can replay this section, but can you hear what sounds like a crowd of people in the background of this video? I'm gonna play it starting at 22, 40, 41. I'll play it forward for a few seconds.
Okay.
Do you hear a number of people's voices in the background? Not officers.
Right, it's distantly, yes.
Okay. Was this a busy area of Hollywood?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Those noises that we hear, would that just kind of be people in the surrounding areas out on Saturday night?
Correct.
I don't have anything else.
Just a call. Sure. Let's go to 223708, please, on that same video.
All right, we're coming up for recross. This is ASAP's lawyer.
So just take that. There's a famous orange wall over there. You see that thing on the left?
Yes, sir.
All right. And right across where you guys were searching where that individual was before, right across there. Correct. Cars right next to that, right?
Correct.
Okay. There's a bunch of cars on the other side of that orange wall, right?
The rider vans here.
Yeah. Yes, but there's cars on the other side, I'm saying. Of that orange wall, across the street where the officers are.
Right, correct.
Yes, you see those?
Yes.
Okay. And, okay, you could scoot around if you want. Or,
No.
we're done. So you talked about things that you're looking for, flat tires in the car, broken glass, right? Those two, impacts on side doors.
Yes, sir.
In any event, you found none of that, right?
That's correct.
And by the way, you never received a report of a complaint at any point in this case that the car was damaged, did you?
At the time when I was at scene, I did not.
At any time after, did you become aware?
If somebody had reported it,
Yeah.
unless I handled it myself, I wouldn't have knowledge of it, right, if it was after the fact.
And one last thing, the Glock is one of those semi-automatics that does in fact eject shell casings, right?
Correct, it's a strike card.
Thank you.
All right, Sergeant Zizzo, thank you. Thanks for coming back today. Who's next witness?
All right, next witness.
Is Rhea Robinson.
We're done with Zizzo.
Oh, let me mention to you about tomorrow. One of the people involved has a commitment that cannot be avoided. So we're going to start a little early and we're going to go a little longer. We're going to go 10 to 12:30, but that's going to be it. And then we'll break about 11:15. So be here tomorrow at 10, and then you'll be excused for the day at 12:30. The following day, normal schedule, 10:30 to noon, 1:30. Okay?
Before we bring our next witness up, I just want to shout out a subscriber that just sent me a $50 Cash App. Shout out to Polish Lucy. If y'all could do me a favor and type Lucy in the chat, super, super, super generous of her. She's a content creator herself, husband and wife team, part of Trainwreck Entertainment. If any of the mods are hanging around, drop the link to their channel. Thank you so much, Luce. Really appreciate that. And she says, here for you. Thank you so much, Luce. You are the best. Let's go back in. They're bringing in their next witness. The judge just let the jury know that tomorrow is going to be a lighter day. It's going to be a half day, which is fantastic. So they're going to get started at 10 o'clock. I think that's right around, what time is that? 1 o'clock our time on the East Coast. So we'll be back tomorrow for their half day.
You don't mind just raising your arm? Yeah. You don't mind just raising your right hand for us, please? Thank you. Some state the testimony you may give of the cause and outcome before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Please take a seat on the witness stand there. And please adjust the microphone and state and spell your name for the record.
Leah Elizabeth Martin Brown.
Okay, you allow me to raise up your voice.
Sorry, Leah Elizabeth Martin Brown.
You spell your name for us?
LeahElizabeth.
Thank you.
Zed.
And so Brown, common spelling?
MARTIN-Brown, common spelling.
Thank you. All right.
Good morning, Ms. Martin Brown. Are you, as you sit here right now, are you nervous?
Yes.
Have you ever testified before?
No.
This is an uncomfortable feeling.
Yes.
All right.
Try to get through it quickly.
On Saturday, November 6th of 2021, were you living or were you in an apartment at 1600 Vine Street in Hollywood?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a picture of the TV. There is something that works up there that should work. All C's.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear what she does. Maybe she's a neighbor? 911 caller?
This is People's Exhibit 1, Your Honor. Ms. Martin Brown showing you what I marked as People's Exhibit 1. I'm going to direct your attention towards the bottom. Do you recognize the area that's depicted in that map?
Yes.
And is the apartment that you were at that evening depicted on this map?
Yes.
Can you point to it for us on the screen behind you? And there should be a stick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and so she's pointing to the northwest corner of Argyle and Selma. The apartment that you were in that evening, did it have either an exterior facing window or a patio area?
Both.
And what street did those windows look out on?
Argyle and then also Selma.
So from the window, you could see the corner of Argyle and Selma?
I could see pretty much all of Argyle and then up until like Selma in the back of Davy Wayne's, which is a club along there.
Where would Davy Wayne's be?
Like around here-ish.
Okay, so you're pointing all the way to the corner of El Centro and Selma, correct?
Yeah.
Was the apartment that you were in, what floor was that on?
The 7th, it was apartment 701.
Okay. So from the 7th floor, you're up high enough that you can see over the buildings that are at the northeast corner of Argyle, correct?
Sorry. Ask the court, please. Modulating a little bit right there.
You know, people's position is it's foundational.
Not the last question.
So, read the last question. Please.
Okay, so from the second floor, you're up high enough that you can see over the buildings that are at the northeast corner of Argyle and Selma, correct?
Sustain.
Okay. If I could mark my next exhibit, Your Honor.
6.
Equals 6. One page document with a single photograph. Here's to depict the corner of Argyle and Selma. Showing you what I just marked as equals 6. Do you recognize that street corner?
Yes.
And do you see the building that you were living in this photograph?
Yes.
Can you point to it for us? Alright, I'm going to zoom in. You're pointing to the building on the far left of the screen. If I can. Alright. The apartment that you were living in that building, was it?
I'm pointing to the exact balcony.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. This here.
How do you want to describe that here? So I would say in the photograph, there are a number of, let's see,
Why don't you break it up to a circle
I can do that.
and then put it on the projector?
That's good. Thank you. A little circle there. Now, so you have one with the Sharpie. Sharp with the ball, please. Thank you. Okay. Putting people 6 back up. The black mark that you made here is the exact document you're talking about, correct? Now, it appears that directly across the street from the building that you were living in, there's a number of buildings on this corner of Argyle, correct?
Correct.
From your vantage point, could you see over those buildings?
Yes.
Taking you back to People's One, you said you were able to see all the way to Selma and El Centro?
Yes.
That night, so November 6, 2021, at approximately 10:18 p.m., did you call 911?
Yes.
Why did you call 911 that night?
I thought someone had been hurt and I wanted to make sure an ambulance came.
How was it that you thought someone had been hurt?
I saw an altercation and it appeared that there may have been a gun involved. So I thought if someone was hurt, I didn't want them to die, if that had been the case. But again, I was on the 7th floor. So.
How many people were
I sense a
involved
UK
in the
accent.
altercation that you're talking about?
3.
Where was the first place that you saw those 3 people, if you remember?
Walking down Argyle.
When you say walking down Argyle, what street were they walking towards?
Selma.
And how far up Argyle, so away from Selma, did you see them? Was there some point of reference that you have?
The parking garage that leads into the El Centro apartments.
Okay. Might be difficult to see here on People's 6, but do you see the entrance to the parking garage in this photograph?
Sort of.
Where is it that you sort of see that entrance?
It was a little further up here.
Okay. There's a red,
indicating on the right-hand side of the photo, halfway up after the first set of cars on the right-hand side of the street.
there's a red sign here that we can see that's vertical. Do you know, does that sign say, if you could read the full thing, does it say parking?
I believe it does, yes.
And would that essentially be the entrance to the parking lot?
Yes,
Maybe a little past that?
it was a little further up that. But
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. What was the first thing that you observed between the interaction of those people that you described?
Again, it was like, I was on a 7th floor balcony. It appeared that they were arguing, and they kind of ducked under the parking structure roof, and there was like some loud yelling, and then they appeared to be fine, but went around the corner into the back parking lot, and then that's where it appeared that there was another kind of issue, and there appeared to be like allegedly a gun was drawn, and someone appeared to be shot.
Okay, I want to start at the parking garage. You said you saw these three people arguing outside of the garage. Did you see a firearm at all while they were outside of the garage?
I was on the 7th floor.
I understand your perspective. From the 7th floor, did you see anything that
Not at that
resembled?
time.
Okay. So the only thing that you
She's
observed
your witness.
from the area right in front of the parking garage was arguing. Is that what you're saying?
They seemed to go sort of underneath the roof. There may have been like something physical, but it was obscured by predominantly it was obscured by the roof.
She's
Did
helping
you
Rocky.
see any physical contact between those men?
Very briefly before underneath, but again, I don't want to speak on that any further.
Thank you. And I'm not asking you to speculate on anything that you're saying happened when you couldn't see them, but from the point that you could see them, what physical contact was it that you saw?
Someone appeared to grab someone.
Were there any, where on the person who was grabbed, where on their body were they grabbed?
I'm not sure, I was too far away.
Did you see any punches thrown or anything like that?
I said what I saw.
Okay,
Don't really.
thank you. You saw one person grabbed and then they,
And then they kind of went underneath it, like there's like a roof thing that obscured things.
all right, fair to say while they were under this roof or overhang, you couldn't see them, correct?
Correct.
When you next saw any of the individuals involved in that scuffle, where was that person going?
The three of them appeared to, again, I couldn't identify who was who, they just all looked like equal to me. I just saw them all in a group walking towards Selma.
Were all three of them bunched together, or was there any separation between the three of them?
I can't really accurately recall.
Okay. As you saw them walking towards Selma, could you hear anything that was happening between them?
No,
Did you hear even any raised voices, even if you couldn't make out exactly what was said?
prior to that, yes, but at that stage, no.
When you say prior to, do you mean at the parking garage?
Yeah.
Okay. So you heard arguing at the parking garage, but you didn't hear any arguing as they went down our road?
No.
When these three were, did it appear to you that they were all men?
It did appear that they were all men.
Okay. Is there anything else distinct about them that you could describe?
No, one was wearing a black hoodie, but again, it was a long time ago. I don't know if that would be an accurate recollection.
Okay. When they, could you even tell the race of these people?
It was dark. I don't know.
So when these three men got to the corner,
She's a
of
Rihanna
Selma,
fan.
where did you see them go?
I saw them turn, from my perspective, left, and then into it's kind of like a parking lot behind these buildings.
Okay. I still have people 6 displayed up on the screen here. Can you see the direction that they went in this photograph?
Yes.
And where would, if you could take the pointer, just kind of show us where they walked down Argyle and which way they went down Selma. Okay, so Your Honor, I would say she's describing walking southbound on Argyle towards Selma on the east side of the street, and then making a left turn and staying on the north sidewalk of Selma headed eastbound. So you're describing them walking past this building out of view, correct?
They weren't out of view for me.
My apologies, that was not a great question. It would have been off of this
Yes.
photograph, correct? So if I take you back to People's One, what you described was them walking south on Argyle, making a left on Selma, and continuing on Selma, correct?
Yes, and turning into like a parking lot area.
And as they were walking on Selma, could you still see all three of the men that you've been describing?
Yes.
Did you hear anything between them at that point while they were on Selma?
No.
Did you see any interactions between them while they were on Selma?
No.
You said they got all the way to the corner of Vista Del Mar, correct?
From my vantage point, it appeared that they went into the parking lot area. I'm not entirely sure what the street is called. I just know that it's behind.
Yo.
Okay. If it's marked,
This is not a good start for the prosecution. This is only the second witness for this case, and this is an eyewitness, allegedly an ear witness. We don't know, but she called 911 because she heard a scuffle outside of her apartment. And she is not giving this prosecutor much. I mean, he's having to pull teeth to get it out of her. And here's the thing, she's supposed to be helping the prosecution. This is their witness, and she's not doing much of anything. So hopefully she has a Fenty care package on her way. This is interesting. Let's go back in, y'all.
here as Vista Del Mar, does that sound accurate to you?
If that's marked as that, then I suppose it is accurate.
Okay. And you know that there's a parking lot at that corner of
Yes.
Vista Del Mar and Selma?
Yes.
So you said what you described was they walked into the parking lot, correct?
Yes.
Where did you see them go from the parking lot?
I saw them in the parking lot, and then they had what appeared to be an altercation, and then everyone left.
Can you describe what you mean when you say they had an altercation?
Again, this was a long time ago, and I can only speak on what I can remember. It appeared that they had some kind of disagreement. There was what appeared to be like a firearm pulled. There appeared to be shots, and then people ran away.
The initial altercation that you're talking about, what was the first thing that you observed?
I can't recall.
Okay. The person that you observed with the gun, where was that person in relation to the two other people?
Closer to the El Centro apartments than someone.
I just so you know, we're gonna break in a minute. Why don't we take a break now? Okay. All right, folks, we're gonna break now. Please be outside the court doors at 1:30, so that time as possible. We will resume with Ms. Martin Brown's testimony. Please do not discuss the case amongst yourselves or anybody else.
All right, guys. So it appears that they have taken their lunch break for the day. It's a very long lunch break. It's an hour and a half. So I think what we will do is actually break ourselves. Your girl got to eat. I have been streaming since 9 a.m. and it is 3 p.m. So I think I'm going to grab something to eat myself and then we will resume. Because here's what we're going to see. We have 2 witnesses so far. We saw the fight, the squabble. So I'm going to chop this up for anybody that's watching it on replay so you can go to the important parts. There's a squabble between the prosecution and the defense. So we get a good understanding of who the prosecutors are, right? We have one really, really whiny prosecutor who has beef with A$AP Rocky's attorney. It's actually pretty interesting. That was a fun fight. Then we had Zizzo on the stand. Officer Zizzo really I don't really think that was as powerful as it could have been for the defense team or the prosecution team rather. And then now we have this 911 caller who after lunch, we're going to resume with her. So we will be back. It looks like it's going to be 4:30 my time and 1:30 their time. So we will be back and see what's in store. Relli should be taking this stand as well. And that would be fantastic. Everybody's like, what are you eating, AV? I ordered a sandwich a while ago. So I'm going to go eat that real quick. And I'll be back, guys, in an hour and a half. That will be stream 3 today. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that your notifications are set to all because a lot of people have not been getting notified when we are doing anything on this channel. If you want some time to kill, check out the videos that we put out yesterday. The Jay-Z update. Check out the Diddy update. That one's a riot. But check it out, guys. And if you're interested in Karen Reed, we did another stream this morning. All right, y'all. We will be back in a few minutes, about an hour and a half. I'm going to schedule it right now. So if you want to just save that, get your like in and just keep that screen up until we come back at 4:30, you're welcome to do that too. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you shortly. See you in the next one. Bye.